Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing a really quick Bout of Books wrap up. This week has been kind of an interesting reading week. I feel like so far this year the readathons that I've participated in, I've totally killed it. I've read everything on my TBR and sometimes even more than what was on my TBR, and I was just on a roll. And this one, I definitely did not do that, but I'm still really happy with what I was able to do. I mentioned in my TBR video that this week was going to be kind of a busy week for me, so I didn't know how much reading I was going to do, and I was definitely correct on that front. I was actually busier than I thought it was going to be. Finding time to read was kind of difficult for me, but I still feel like this week was a success because I feel like if this was not a readathon week, I wouldn't have even read this much. So again, I consider it a success. I also did switch out my TBR a little bit, or I read things that weren't on my TBR, so that also has something to do with it. But anyways, on to the books that I read. So I ended up finishing the book of Harlan prior to the readathon actually starting. I finished it on Sunday. So that one I technically didn't read during Bout of Books, but since I mentioned it in my TBR video, I figured I would mention it here as well. I liked that book. I didn't love it. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I felt like it covered such a wide span of time that it never really went deep enough into the story for me. It's a really fast-paced book. As I mentioned in the TBR video, the chapters are really short, and so it feels like you're flying through all these different sections, but I felt like I wanted more depth to the story, and that wasn't quite there for me. But I really liked it because it was a unique perspective, especially on World War II, because I feel like World War II historical fiction is so prevalent that I almost get tired of it. So seeing this new angle of seeing what it was like for Black people who might have been captured by the Nazis, and that's something that I feel like no one ever really talks about, but it actually happened. So it was kind of nice to read it for that. So then after that, I picked up In the Country We Love by Diane Garo. I picked this one up first because one, I knew it was fast-paced, but also it seemed like this was the book that people were the most interested in from my TBR, so I figured I would read it so that way I could talk about it. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I mentioned in my Goodreads review that it's like a 4-star story written in a 3-star style, so that's why it's more like a 3.5 stars for me. This really is a memoir of her life, and so you see her growing up in the United States, having parents who are here in the United States illegally, and she talks a lot about the things that they tried to do to try to become U.S. citizens and how difficult it was for them and how difficult it was for their family being separated from each other. And there's a whole lot happening in the story. It isn't merely that her parents came into the United States and then were here illegally and then they were deported. There was a lot of back and forth. There were times where her mom was gone solely and then she came back to the United States and was deported again, things like that. So she had to spend a lot of time alone with her dad. And so it talks a lot about obviously their family struggles and the things that she was dealing with, what she had to do after her parents were deported, and how she basically fell through the cracks of the system. No one ever checked on her. No one in the government realized that she seemed to be alone in the United States. She didn't have a parent or a guardian here in the United States, and she was just lucky enough to have other people in her life who could take her in and to take care of her. But she talks a lot about her own struggles as well. Her struggles in high school, sort of finding her own voice, trying to figure out what she wants to do, her going to college. She also talks a lot about her own mental health issues. She talks about how she had depression, how she attempted suicide a couple of different times. So trigger warning for those things if that is something you are sensitive to. She's very open and honest about all of that stuff, and she discusses how all of this were her circumstances and how she struggled to just deal with the cards that were given to her, but how eventually she was able to obviously turn her life around and become an actress and become a relatively successful actress as well. I think that this book would be best done in audiobook. This is very much written in her voice, which is very casual. That casual style is something that I don't like reading on a physical page. I much prefer that in audiobook form. So if you are going to read this book, I definitely recommend picking it up on audiobook. And then the next thing that I finished was March Book 3 by John Lewis, Andrew Aiden, and Nate Powell. The series is so fantastic. I just finished this one last night and I really enjoyed it. I decided that since I realized I wasn't going to be reading a whole bunch this week, I was going to take my time with this graphic novel, and I'm really glad that I did. It's really long for a graphic novel, and so I split it up between a couple of different sittings, just enjoying the story for what it was. There's, I feel like, also a lot of text on every page. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a lot of story being told in these. I feel like this could have even benefited from being a 4-book series as opposed to a 3-book series, just because this one is on the longer side. There's so much talked about in here that I feel like it could have been broken up even more and could have dove even farther into all of these stories. When I was reading this, since I read the first 2 volumes a while ago, I forgot that he was comparing and contrasting his experience attending the inauguration of Obama, like during his first inauguration, and then flashing back in time into the civil rights movement. So there was a moment where I kind of had to remind myself of that point when there was a scene with Obama. I got a little confused, but it all made sense eventually. But yeah, I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I got this from the library, but I'm definitely going to be picking up my own copy because it's just so well done. John Lewis is very honest about all the different people that he encountered and the different people that he worked with and his feelings about different government officials during that time, which I thought was very interesting to see because he doesn't try to make anyone seem like a saint, and he also doesn't try to make anyone seem like the devil. He's just very honest about these are the circumstances that we were in, these are the choices that people made for a variety of reasons. I don't agree with all of them, but they were just what happened. So I kind of really respect John Lewis for that a lot. But yeah, I cannot recommend this series enough. And if you are a teacher, I feel like doesn't matter what age group your kids are, this is a graphic novel worth having in your classroom. So I ended up picking up one other book that wasn't on my TBR, and that is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu, and I am currently reading this one. I had gotten this from the library as an ebook, and I didn't realize that it was expiring this week, so I was like, oh crap, I should probably read this book. So I decided to read it, not realizing that it was also a 600-page novel, but I'm really enjoying it so far, and it's pretty fast-paced. I would say I'm about a quarter or a third of the way into it at the moment. I can't remember exactly where I left off, but I'm really enjoying it. Ken Liu is going to be at Book Riot Live. He's also the person who translated The Three Body Problem, which was this really big science fiction novel. I believe it won a Hugo Award and a lot of other awards as well. So he has translated those books into English, and he has a bunch of different fantasy books and short story collections that he has written. So I'm currently working on reading some of his books and stories prior to Book Riot Live. So I will talk about that book more when I finished it. Also, a thing that I keep forgetting to mention is that Book Riot Live is happening November 12th and 13th in New York City. I went to it last year. It was so much fun. I moderated a panel. This year I don't know what I'm doing, but I will at least be there attending. So if you are interested in going, definitely check it out. I always have a link for it in the description of my videos. I also have a coupon code if you're interested. You can get $20 off, I believe, your weekend ticket. I don't remember exactly what the coupon code is, but it's in the description, so you guys could just read that to find out. So if you're in New York City or live around New York City or just want to visit New York City in November, definitely consider coming to that. There's a lot of really fantastic authors coming, and I will slowly be reading their books in the upcoming months to prepare for Book Riot Live, so you'll be hearing more about that as it happens. And then finally, the other thing that I have been reading is Middlemarch, which I am reading for Middlemarch Madness, the read-along that I'm hosting. I have definitely kept up with this one. I'm actually almost finished with the book. I have less than 10 chapters left, I know that for sure. I think I have around 7 or 8. It's been going really well, mostly because I got it on audiobook as well, and I've been going a lot of walks recently because the weather's been really nice, so it's been helping me stay on track for the read-along. So I will probably be done with that book within the next couple of days, which makes sense since, you know, the month is almost over. But yeah, I will talk about that book fully as well in my monthly wrap-up, and I will be doing a final video on that whole read-along experience as well. But again, all of that will be coming in my August wrap-up. So yeah, like I said, that was my bout of books. I didn't read quite what I said I was going to read, but I still feel like I read quite a bit. If you participated in bout of books, definitely leave a comment down below letting me know how you guys did with it. Like I said, you don't have to read all the books in your TBR to consider bout of books a success. I surely didn't, but I still consider it a success. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.